I do want to bring up our friend, Tom Fornelli. I don't think he does these ratings by himself. He always wants to mention that. But our friends at 24/7 or CBS Sports put out their Big Ten coaches rankings. And wouldn't you know, Fornelli showing his bias, that Fornelli, with Bret Bielema number 5 behind Jim Harbaugh, who deserves to be number 1 at this point. What a glow up. Is that what the kids say? They still say that?
You're young at heart. You know the answer is yes.
Jim Harbaugh, number 1 from the hot seats and number 1 in the Big Ten, back-to-back Big Ten champ. He deserves it. Ryan Day, still a good coach, by the way. I still think he's a pretty good coach. Number 2, they got to figure out that defense. Luke Fickell debuts at number 3. The Wisconsin hype. Can you feel it? We'll talk more about that, Joey. James Franklin, probably the underrated guy in the Big Ten, just because he's not quite Michigan or Ohio State, but he's always pretty dang good. Bielema at 5. What do you make of that, Joey? Over Fleck at 6, which, by the way, PJ Fleck, not my cup of tea. Okay. That personality does not do it for me. But can we acknowledge what he's doing in the Big Ten? I mean, they write it right here in CBS, 18-9 in the Big Ten over the last 3 seasons. Like, this has been consistently good football. So, well, I don't buy into this row the boat. I find it, not genuine. But maybe it is for PJ Fleck. I know he's dealt with some stuff in his life, but like, he's a good football coach and he gets his team to play good football and they win football games. I said football way too many times there. Matt Rule, Nebraska, 7. Kirk Ferentz, 8. Listen, I know the offense was putrid, Joey. I think Kirk Ferentz deserves to be a little higher on this list.
Agreed. That was my big jump off right there when we were going through it. But also,
let me just wrap up for the listeners. Pat Fitzgerald, 9. Mel Tucker, 10. Mike Loxley, 11. Greg Schiano, 12. Tom Allen, 13. Ryan Walters, 14. There you go, Illinois fans, if you want to feel good about that. But they acknowledge, like, it's just the first-time head coach always going to be at the bottom of the list. Because I do believe he's better than Tom Allen, that's for sure. And I think he'll do better than Greg Schiano.
Yeah. Let's go back to that 5 through
9. Like, because Fitzgerald at 9, I get it after the last 4 years, but
that, like, depending on this season, that's the most interchangeable section of this list. Like, if you were to next season put.
But can we acknowledge something, Joey? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go.
Illinois' coach is at number 5.
No.
What?
The artist formerly known as the Big Ten West here. Like, that all can get – if you shuffled that next season and you had like Ferentz, Bielema, Fleck, Fitzgerald, I don't think anyone would – someone's going to email Tom. They should email Tom all that you want. That's a very interchangeable section.
Yeah, and I think you could put Wisconsin. Like, I think Fickell – listen, I think he's a great, really good coach. I think James Franklin probably deserves to be a little higher on that list. Because
I think you should flip those two.
I get the college football playoff appearance, right? Fickell gets all the credit, dominated Cincinnati. I think he's going to do well at Wisconsin. But I would probably put him through 4. So that would put the artist formerly known as the Big Ten West, as you nicely called it. I guess for one more year they can be called that. 4 through 9. And the 4 through 9 spots there with Ryan Walters, maybe if he has a good season, could flip that up. Yeah, those all feel interchangeable, and it feels very Big Ten Westy.
I'm going to miss the Big Ten West, man.
I
get a little emotional talking about the Big Ten West.
It's our Big Ten West, right? It's our wild, wild West. So while you might look down on it, I love the chaos, even though Wisconsin and Iowa usually end up winning.
Dude, that's the fun part about it, is this total freaking chaos. Like, the Big Ten West is – and I think it changes because I guess Northwestern and Illinois just kind of flip-flopped in terms of their, like, presence in the West. But it's the same brand, the same year, the same teams, same brand, same teams, different year. And it's fun because there's not a lot, like exactly what we've talked about. It's not a lot of like heavy margin between the same players every single year. It's fun. People may not like it, but we like it.
I enjoy it. So we'll have to enjoy the final year here. Speaking of the Big Ten West, our buddy Trevor Valise shared the Big Ten odds, I think, via FanDuel. Wisconsin, heavy favorite. I'm not the best with odds, but minus 105 money line to win the Big Ten West. I think that's like 7 to 10, like 7 out of 10 likelihood. Iowa plus 250. I'd bet that. Minnesota plus 450. Illinois plus 650. I think those numbers should be closer to one another. Illinois and Wisconsin, or Illinois and Minnesota. because I get it. Minnesota's got a really good program, stable. Illinois, I think, is kind of getting to that similar tier, but Illinois returns more, especially in the trenches, and that's where I focus it. But they lose their quarterback, lose their star running back. They should be good on the offensive line, though. Nebraska, see, at least the odds makers get this right, Joey. Plus 1,500. I actually like that number for Nebraska. Like, I can see Nebraska going 8-4, potentially 6-3 in the Big Ten and sneaking in. Like, I don't see them going higher than that, but a Matt Rule coach team could turn that program around like that. I don't buy them as some like 10-2 team as some people have. Purdue plus 2,000. I don't even see Northwestern on this board, Joey.
2021, Jeremy, we're going to be so ticked at you for saying one nice thing about Nebraska. This is unbelievable.
I've come. Hey, when you're valued correctly, I'll maybe buy you a little bit. So yeah, I can buy them at plus 1,500. I don't think that's a terrible bet.
It is not. The first reaction I think we all had when we talked about this in our group chat, I think Iowa should be the favorite, and I don't think there should be such a gap between Iowa and Wisconsin there. Like I think Iowa's
those numbers should be flipped. To be honest, like, listen, I get it. We all watched what Iowa's offense was last year. It's not going to be worse because they got more talented. Their play caller could still stink, but if their play caller didn't stink last year, Joey, or if they just had a little bit more talent at the quarterback position, at wide receiver, they probably would have been 10-2, right? And in the top 10 of the rankings. So Phil Parker's still a stud. Their special teams are always great. Like, their defense is still going to be really good. Their offensive line should be better. They were really young there last year. Listen, I don't think Cade McNamara is a world beater, but they don't need a world beat. They just need what Tommy DeVito was last year for Illinois. You got really good, talented tight ends. They've upgraded at wide receiver. Caleb Brown was a really nice addition for them. So, listen, I don't think Iowa is a college football playoff contender, but my other part is, like, I get Wisconsin's ceiling. I get the idea of Wisconsin, Luke Fickell coming in, bring in all these transfers, a new exciting offense. But sometimes, and I get change, they needed change, but sometimes change takes a while. Like, and when you're making drastic changes like that, there's a floor there that I don't think enough people are acknowledging, and that these odds kind of don't acknowledge. So I could see Wisconsin winning the Big Ten West. It wouldn't shock me. I probably have Iowa 1, Wisconsin 2, Illinois 3, Minnesota 4. But because I just think Illinois, there's some talent things. There's quarterback play. Like, still got to see those secondary things. But I just don't think Wisconsin is like the head and shoulders. Like, I think like Iowa should get a little bit more respect than this.
Yeah.
Sorry to fight for Iowa, Illinois fans. I just think
I'm with you. I think that's like, those are probably, to your point, those are probably the top two. I just think the order's flipped. We'll see. We'll see what happens going into it. Bret Bielema will find a way to be spicy on Twitter about it and say Illinois is too low. And Bret Bielema, very outward.
Where do you think Illinois will be voted in these lists?
Right there, 3 or 4, right?
Yeah,
I think 3 or 4.
I think me voting them 3. Like, last year, I think I had them 5th or something like that. And they ended up being second. But I can see them finishing second. I can see them in the last 2 weeks fighting for a Big Ten West championship. I really can. Yeah. If you tell me Luke Altmaier's good and the secondary settles in, they got a chance, man.
So right now, I think you and I consensus 3 or 4. What happened? Where would they be projected if that waiver for Tommy DeVito goes through? I mean, and I don't think they'd be projected to win, but is it enough to kick them up to 2?
I think in these odds on FanDuel, I think Illinois would have Minnesota's odds +4 just because of the known.
Yeah.
Like Luke Altmaier might have a higher ceiling than what Tommy DeVito did last year because I think his deep ball is better. He's more athletic, but he's just going to probably have some growing pains. There's just an unknown about him as a starter. So I think that has a lot to do with it. I think losing draft picks like they did, but I just don't know how much the betting public knows about what they're bringing back in the trenches.
Yeah, their trenches are really good. I've got for position primer tease. I've got offensive line. You've got defensive line, and 2 really good spots for Illinois. The best, right? I mean, those are 2 best spots on this roster.
Yeah, an outside linebacker.
I mean, I consider the defensive line, when I say that, I mean the 5 guys who play.
Yeah, because the outside linebackers are basically defensive ends.
Yeah.
It's all semantics from that. By the way, you mentioned Bret Bielema in his tweet. You got any thoughts about, what he had to say? Because, we just went through this coaching list and we said, Illinois' coach is number 5, pretty dang good. Well, Bret Bielema saw an On3 post where he's the best coach in the Big Ten. He's got Harbaugh, Dave, Fickle, and James Franklin. And he says, who has the most Big Ten titles? Asking for a friend. Hashtag family. Hashtag.
Do you think he was really asking for a friend?
Who would be that friend? Was it for Ryan Walters? Spice this thing up a little bit more.
Josh Whitman said, Bret, I can't tweet this. I need you to.
I mean, he can do it for at least another year because what does Day have 2? Harbaugh's got 2.
Bielema's got 3.
Yeah, Bielema's got 3 from Wisconsin.
Look, I will say, I talked about this on our message board, so this isn't the first time. I would love to actually sit down. Like, it's got to be the right setting. And me, and Ryan Easterling have talked about this. I don't think you can ask him this at a press conference. I think it's got to be like an actual, like you sit down, whether it be a podcast or, something along those lines. Because like there's an outward confidence coming from this program. And I'm not saying like
this one after Marquise Lightfoot commits to Miami.
Well, we think Jeremy, we think that's what it was for. Oh, come on.
What happened? He tweets out the Facebook highlights, by the way, of Wisconsin beating Miami in the Champs Sports Bowl back in 2009. He said, let's see. I remember how our defensive ends felt heading into this game. Hashtag big, hashtag pre-NIL. So he's suggesting some NIL activity for Marquise Lightfoot there. He has not been bashful about that, but braggadocious Bielema. I mean, it's entertaining as heck for me.
I just want to, and I don't think I think there's reasons for him to have confidence in this program. Like, I think it's the trenches, as we've mentioned, it's clearly on a trajectory that's going upward. But I'm just curious, and maybe it's my own intrigue, like where this outwardness coming from.
I just realized what Zupke tweet was below that.
I was going to say
broadcasting to the world.
Zupke's going to have the biggest smile if he crosses that. I don't know, man. I just think it's interesting, his approach on social media and the confidence. It's not just him, dude. That's the thing. It's not just Bret Bielema's out here yelling about Illinois football. Like, there's a confidence in that whole building. And it probably starts with him.
He talked about his first year, about the lack of confidence in some of those close games and how that needed to change. And it starts with him. And I think that's what he's trying to say is like, hey, we shouldn't be like us talking about Illinois finishing, like predicting them 3rd. That's not how those guys feel. Those guys are like, we've seen Johnny Newton be quoted saying this, like, we want Michigan in the Big Ten championship. Like, that's our goal.
Johnny Newton on Twitter also very similar to Mr. Bret Bielema in terms of he sees a ranking. And
if I were Johnny Newton, I would feel that way too, because I don't think anybody can stop me in college football. But like, yeah, we know like there's a huge mental part of this game. And Bret Bielema changing that is as big as anything, and changing fans' expectations and all of that is huge. So I think part of that's for his players, right?
100%. That's what I was going to say. It's like we're seeing like that. I don't want to say culture change, but a little bit of that, the mindset change happening just in real time. And yeah, Bret's probably got to be a little more over the top about it right now because he wants his guys to know he's batting for him, and he's going to go up there and do that. And yeah, he's not going to say, "Oh, well, look at us, we're ranked 3rd to win the Big Ten West."
Look at
that plucky little upstart Illinois here getting a chance to finish 3rd. That's not like you can't think like that. Like that's the thing with sports. You can't have that mindset. But he sure as hell making sure his guys don't let that creep back in. And I think to your point, yeah, man, a lot of this is coming, and it's a conversation for his locker room.
Yeah, and if they feel good about the quarterback position in the secondary, Joey, they should set the goal of Big Ten championship. Because Iowa, you beat them last year. Wisconsin, you beat them last year. They had to fire their coach after you beat them, right? Like, so you got in your own way of a Big Ten West championship last year. So, that's probably a storyline we don't talk about enough is they had it within their grasp and they let it go. And now they're like, oh, now we got to make up for that. Like, can we come back and make up for it? So that'd be interesting storyline going into this season. But yeah, that we can start diving into that stuff, Joey. It's almost time.